Yo, yo, yo. Welcome back to WWE Express. This week, we're breaking down one of the most intense and unpredictable storyline intersections in modern wrestling history: Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes. Three absolute titans. Three massive egos. Three warriors with completely different agendas colliding behind the scenes. And folks, if you thought the tension was high in the ring, wait until you hear what could be happening in those backstage corridors. Stay tuned because we're about to dive deep into the holy trinity collision that could reshape everything. Before we talk about the potential explosion between these three legends, we need to understand where each of them stands right now. Because that's what makes this so fascinating. These guys aren't just random superstars throwing elbows. These are strategists. These are calculated professionals who know exactly what they're doing. Let's start with the absolute foundation of modern WWE, Roman Reigns. Love him or hate him, you can't deny it, Roman Reigns is the company. He's the guy that WWE has invested years in building as the face of the franchise. His tribal chief persona, backed by the bloodline, turned him into one of the most dominant forces this industry has ever seen. He doesn't just win matches, he commands respect. And respect, in wrestling, is currency. But then, you've got CM Punk. And CM Punk? CM Punk changed the entire landscape when he returned to WWE. This guy carried the weight of legitimacy on his shoulders. The straight-edge warrior. The voice of the voiceless. His return wasn't just a comeback, it was a revolution. Fans went absolutely nuts because they saw something different. They saw rebellion. They saw authenticity in a world of manufactured moments. And then there's Cody Rhodes, the American nightmare. The intellectual property warrior who walked away from everything, proved himself on the global stage, and came back as main event worthy. He's got something that's priceless in this business. He's got momentum. He's got purpose. He's fighting for his legacy, for his family name, and for the future of this company. Now here's where it gets spicy. Because when you put three guys like this in the same building, the same backstage area, the same championship picture, things get combustible. Let's break down the real tension points. Roman Reigns' power comes from his family, from the bloodline's domination of WWE. But CM Punk? CM Punk has never been a family guy. He's about individual will, individual defiance. And Cody Rhodes? Cody's bloodline is his legacy burden, something he's actively working to redefine on his own terms. So you've got three completely different philosophies about power and authority colliding. Roman might see CM Punk as a threat to his tribal authority. Punk might see Roman as a symbol of the corporate machine he's always fought against. And Cody? He's caught in between two titans, both trying to figure out if he's an ally or a threat. There's only one world championship, one opportunity at the absolute top. And right now, all three of these guys have legitimate claims to it. Roman might argue he never lost it, that he's the real champion. Cody might argue he's earned his shot through pure determination and fan support. And CM Punk? He's got that defiant energy, the guy who walked into WWE and immediately demanded main event status. When you've got three legitimate contenders for one title shot, that's not just conflict, that's chaos. That's the kind of situation where one wrong word backstage turns into a confrontation that could derail somebody's entire year. And here's the thing that makes this so interesting from a storytelling perspective: these three guys represent completely different character philosophies. Roman is about dominance and control. He's the guy who believes in ruling through strength and family bonds. CM Punk is about rebellion and disruption. He's the guy who questions everything: authority, tradition, expectations. And Cody? He's about redemption and legacy. He's the guy who believes in earning your place through hard work, through purpose. When these three mindsets clash, it's not just a physical confrontation, it's an ideological battle. And that's what makes it so fascinating to analyze. So let's talk about what could actually happen if these three guys found themselves in a backstage situation. And folks, when I say backstage confrontation, I don't necessarily mean a brawl. Sometimes the most intense moments in wrestling happen with words, with tension, with a stare down that says more than any shouting match ever could. Imagine Roman Reigns approaches both Punk and Cody with a proposition. Maybe he's thinking long-term about the bloodline's position. Maybe he's testing to see if they're trustworthy. CM Punk, independent, suspicious, immediately gets defensive. He doesn't do favors. He doesn't take orders. And Cody? He's in an impossible position. Does he side with Roman and risk looking like he sold out? Does he back Punk and risk making the most powerful faction in WWE his enemy? This is the kind of tension that doesn't need weapons or physicality. It's pure psychology. Picture this: CM Punk calls out what he sees as the establishment, and that establishment just happens to include Roman Reigns sitting at the top. He's not making it personal at first, right? It's about ideas. It's about what he believes WWE should be. But Roman? Roman sees this as disrespect, as a direct challenge to his authority. And Cody's in the middle trying to navigate both relationships because he needs allies in this company, but he can't afford to compromise his principles. The confrontation here is intense because it's not about one moment, it's about fundamental disagreement. Here's where it gets wild. What if all three of them realize they've got a common enemy? What if, in a shocking turn of events, these three titans put aside their differences and form an alliance? Because when you've got three of the biggest draws in modern wrestling history united, they could literally shake the foundation of WWE. Roman brings the dominance. Punk brings the credibility. Cody brings the fan support. Together? Unstoppable. That kind of conversation, that kind of realization backstage, that's the kind of confrontation that could change everything. Here's the real talk, WWE Express Nation. No matter how this backstage situation plays out, it has massive implications for the entire WWE landscape. We're talking about three legitimate main event level superstars with completely different agendas. And in professional wrestling, when you've got that kind of volatile situation, that's gold for storytelling. Whether these three guys become enemies, strange allies, or something completely unexpected, the ripple effects will be felt throughout the company. Championship reigns could shift. Factions could crumble. New alliances could form. The beauty of having three titans with this much credibility, this much fan support, and this much complexity? You literally can't predict what's going to happen next. And that's what makes great wrestling. So to recap, Roman Reigns represents dominance. CM Punk represents rebellion. Cody Rhodes represents redemption. And when those three forces collide, you get moments that people talk about for years. That's our breakdown for today, WWE Express Nation. But this is where we want to hear from you. Drop a comment below and tell us, if these three titans did have a backstage confrontation, how do you think it would play out? Do you think they'd be allies? Enemies? Something in between? What storyline would you want to see from Roman, Punk, and Cody? And if you're not already subscribed to WWE Express, what are you waiting for? We drop analysis like this every week. We break down the biggest storylines, the most intense rivalries, and the future of professional wrestling. Hit that subscribe button, turn on notifications, and become part of the WWE Express family.